Hello and good afternoon, good evening, in some locations. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this week's new episode, of course, of the new show that you, of course, know and love. And that is the Xbox Lunch Break Special. This is the fifth show added to Double Barrel Gaming, making me officially, folks, a full time streamer, 5 days a week, five different shows, five different panels, all different topics. And guess what? The best place to get all of your Xbox news, reviews, and highly contested opinions. Folks, we got an incredible show for you. We also have a very special guest joining us who has the day off, thanks because he's in banking. And, well, banks are off today thanks to the uh, the holiday in this side of the world. John Wolf, welcome back, brother. How the heck are you, man? How you been?
Doing good, Boom. Thank you so much. I sent out, if I could join you today. And of course, without hesitation, Boom, you sent the invite right away. I really do appreciate it. And lately, Boom, since you became a quote unquote full time streamer, I just want to say all your shows have been bangers 100%. Web Dave, Fuzzy, Lou, it's great to be on with you guys. And I can't wait to cover these topics, man.
Well, it's great to have you. And we already have, my goodness, damn near 100 people, and we're only 2 minutes into the show. So a big thank you to everyone that's already here. And of course, if you are finding the channel for the first time, I want to ask that you consider subscribing. We are on the hunt to 12K. Over the weekend, we officially crossed 11,300 plus subscribers. We are over 125 channel members, which is amazing. And as everyone knows, my wife and I, who run the channel, talked about the remainder of the giveaways that we have coming for the rest of 2022. Well, guess what, folks? We're going to add one more. That's right, for Halloween, which is a Monday, October 31st. We're doing our Big Boo giveaway where we're going to give away eight $25 gift cards for the total amount of $200. That's right, $200. All you got to do to win is be in the chat. But hey, again, thanks to Mrs. Boom's, genius that she is, we have decided that because so many people have become channel members, it's only right that they get first crack. So more than half of the giveaways are going to come and be doled out to people that are channel members, meaning that you joined. And again, it's our way of giving back to the people that continue to give back. But of course, we will give people that are just subscribers to the channel, people that tune in, a shot as well. But that will be coming. Yeah, one additional giveaway October 31st for Halloween. A lot of tricks, but we'll be giving away the treats for sure. But let's welcome in Crazy Lou Gaming, brother. How the heck are you? And what you been up to?
Oh man, happy to be here. Happy to join you guys today. John Wolf, happy to see you here with us, man. We're gonna have a lot of fun. We're gonna have a lot of fun today, especially since we're gonna talk about. And Fuzzy, I've seen is on a war and a rampage today, and I just want to know what's gonna happen because really, this is gonna be an interesting show. What I've been up to? No, just chilling, just waiting, just getting the days passing by, just relaxing, listening to romantic music and stuff like that. I've just been chill lately, having a lot of fun playing games and stuff like that. I've been good.
It's great to have you back. Great
Thanks,
to have
man.
you a part of this show each and every week. We want to shout out Tom from Toonami, who drops the first and very generous $5 super chat and says, "Anyone see the streaming Xbox on Phil's shelf today?" I did not, folks. I am flying in hot because, like I said, I had to go and visit mom and make sure she is up to snuff, as well as banging out with Mrs. Boom this morning, 5.51 miles on our hike. And I have had two cups of coffee, and I'm still raring to go for this show.
That's Phil's. It's funny.
Same
Boom.
here.
Phil's shelf is a gift that keeps on giving. And
It
while
really
Herman,
is.
You're right.
while Herman Holt's shelf had nothing but remasters on it, so that
Oh,
isn't that a little?
Apparently, you have chosen violence.
Oh
Like,
my
for the
God.
God
I
as
always
well.
my
choose
God.
violence, Boom. I always choose violence.
Oh, this is gonna be a violent show today, man. I'm gonna be ducking under my desk, man.
I am going to say this. It makes Sony, unfortunately, makes it very easy to poke fun at them because they have been doing it all wrong this entire generation. They continue to rake their fans over the coals. When Microsoft continues to give back, obviously, we're going to be talking about what the EU is currently looking for. Thanks to Reuters, we learned that a leaked 100 questionnaire has been sent to Microsoft's rivals. Asking everything from whether they believe this deal could hurt the industry to whether or not Microsoft is going to lock this content behind the Xbox platform and, of course, PC. And personally, like I said in the beginning, I don't care one way or another simply because, well, at the end of the day, I have Game Pass, and most people in this chat and most people on this panel have Game Pass. So if a game launches into Game Pass, we're just going to press download. And if you are a Sony owner, you're basically going to have to pay 76.43 if you live in New York. And if that's what you want to do, by all means, good for you. But personally, and I've said this before, I understand business, and business is to not shrink your circle of making money. Though I believe that and so does Brazil. And again, I think you should listen to Brazil more than you should listen to Mr. Boomstick, because the Cade there believes that even if Microsoft did in fact lock every IP behind their banner, they said that Sony players could either choose to ignore the games on that platform or simply also now starting to support or switch over to Xbox. So the fact that there's a choice there says a lot about the fact that Cade approved this deal with no restrictions. And I know that there was some talk, which was, I thought, look, everyone's entitled to their opinion, folks, right? Like, I'm never going to tell you you're wrong because your opinion is your opinion. Now, what I have a problem with is when we start talking about, well, Brazil, what kind of a country do they matter? If you're in that camp and you're an adult and you're saying that, you should probably go check your diapers because you pooped your pants, because that's just stupid. If you feel that maybe they're not important to you, I hear you. To suggest that Brazil isn't as important a country to the world as, let's just say, the United States, then you're just dumb. But listen, let's continue with the introductions. And of course, we said violence. So of course, we have to talk about Fuzzy Belvedere, who has, of course, unsheathed his sword and is ready to make dancing move Jim Ryan limp when he's doing the shuffle. What's going on? How you feeling, Fuzzy?
I'm doing great. I'm glad to be here with all you guys. Just good start to the week. We got some news from some of the reports from last week, and got some new tidbits this morning. So can't wait to get into it. It's going to be a good one today.
Yeah, we have a lot to get into, and of course, if we do miss the what's on Phil Spencer's shelf watch, we will either talk about it tomorrow or one of the days this week. Thursday, folks, I'm sitting down with Miles Dompierre for the new episode of X Vlog Live, ladies and gentlemen. One-on-one with Miles from Windows Central Gaming. We're going to be talking about horror games, which, of course, Thursday is when Scorn releases. Nice. And it has been confirmed that it is a full-on next-generation Xbox game where it could not run on the Xbox One. So that's why they decided to have the high PC specs for, of course, PC as well as Xbox Series X and S. And obviously, I'm very excited about that because Scorn is very H.R. Geiger inspired. And if you were a fan of Alien or Aliens, you're probably going to dig it as well. But let's continue with Web Dave, brother. What interviews do you have dropping this week, and how the heck are you?
Well, the one that dropped today was Miles Dompierre.
Oh, well, look at that. What a coinky dink.
So before your show, they should catch up and find out all about Miles. Like he's a musician and actually has an album out. Did you know that? No. Lots of good stuff you'll find out on that interview. But yeah, no, it was great to be here, man. Can't wait to get into it. And Fuzzy is absolutely, man, don't cross Fuzzy. It's all I'm saying. Let's get into it.
Yeah, he's been on fire on social media. He's normally very tame. But listen, let's get into something that is not only egregious, but it's typical PlayStation at their absolute worst. And what am I talking about, folks? Well, PlayStation Stars is their new somewhat comparable service to Xbox Rewards. Now, Xbox Rewards, as we were talking in the green room before, basically gives you 200 points for using the bathroom and holding an Xbox controller. I bet you didn't know that.
Yep.
And they basically give you points for everything. You do your dailies on Bing. You buy a game, you get points. You play a game, you get points. You go on your mobile phone and you answer a couple of questions, and you can walk away with 200 points per day. Microsoft does everything in their power to give back to the community that continues to support the platform and the brand. And a perfect example of this, and he's not here to talk about it himself, of course, is Dreadpool. Now, Dreadpool, if you don't know who he is a part of not only Breakfast with Boom on Fridays, but he's also part of Wimley Hood's show, Gaming Beyond the Box, on Wednesday evenings at 8 p.m. And he already, folks, have purchased an Xbox Series S with points. And if that wasn't good enough for you to show you how many points that Xbox basically gives away for simply just playing games, has enough points currently to get a second one. Think about that for a second. I'm no mathematician. That's close to $700 after tax. And he got that through Microsoft reward points. So that in itself should tell the tale. I don't know how many people in the chat currently have had these kind of stories. Throw your stories into the chat, and I'll read them as we continue this story. But why am I bringing this up? Why have we now have to turn the negative spotlight onto Sony PlayStation? Because Sony's Jim Ryan and company are a bunch of boobs. Like, they don't seem to get what customer service is all about, what customer care, giving back to the people that will bend over backwards for your brand. No, what they do is find ways to step in it. They stepped in it with charging you $10 crossplay tax. They stepped in it by charging you $10 an upgrade fee for games on the PlayStation 4 to the PlayStation 5. They bathed in it, took the whole bucket and just dumped it all over themselves when they decided to raise the price of the console $50 in what many people in this world, including myself, consider the world to be in a recession. They said, you know what? Charge them more. Hashtag Everborn Saga, charge them more. Well, Sony has been doing that. And they continue to do these kind of things that are not only anti-competitive, folks. They're anti-consumer on levels that seem beyond common sense. Like, I'm no mathematician. I've said that many times before. Hell, I may not be the sharpest tool in the shed, but I understand a bad deal. And here we have a story that was posted by many, many places. I happen to pull this one from thegamer.com. It was written by Josh Collusion. Now, I don't know if that's his stage name or that's his real name, but if it's his real name, it's pretty cool because it's unusual. Josh Collusion wrote this for thegamer.com, and the lead topic line says this, folks. You'll need to spend $1,750 to earn enough points for a free game through the PlayStation Stars Pro. Yeah, that is it. That's right. Only $1,750. And it's pretty unbelievable that when you look at the other side of the aisle, that is, and again, we're going to turn this whole spotlight on to what the EU had to say, what they're looking forward, what questions they're asking, Microsoft rivals. But when you take a broad step back picture of this, and you look at all of the ridiculousness that has come out of SIE, specifically from Jim Ryan. I mean, he's racking up the points, the miles wherever he's going. He's here, there, and everywhere by Jim Ryan, right? He has gone everywhere to plead his case about the Call of Duty deal, which it's really not the Call of Duty deal. And that's what they seem to be pushing forward. And even Jez Corden agrees this is way above and more importance than something as simplistic as the IP of Call of Duty. Sure, that's important, but the mobile aspect, for me anyway, and again, I have a lot of people to agree with this, and that's fine if you don't. I think the mobile aspect of the ABK deal is the cherry on top of this beautiful banana boat sundae, right? Well, to add insult to injury of PlayStation since this generation have started, folks, if you want to get a free game, meaning one free game, you would have to purchase 24 full-priced games to have enough points to get a free PlayStation game. Now, I don't know about how you feel about this, but I think that this is not only egregious, it's just bonkers. Like, I don't know what bean counter is sitting in there in SIE. I'm like, yeah, this is the way to go, because you know what? We want to make them spend more. And this is Jim. This is hot. This is a hot off the presses idea. What do you think?
Yeah, we want to entice them. We want to entice
Yeah,
them.
you know
right,
what? Let's start with our two bankers, and we'll start with John first because he's our special guest. John, when you see the gaming space, meaning the besides social media and the circles we run in, who have put Sony on blast for this, it's now starting to seem like a lot of the websites are starting to now pivot a bit. Now, these kind of revolutions, if you will, start out with the smaller sites like VGC, like thegamer.com, smaller sites like that. And now, and once all the smaller sites start to talk, John, the bigger ones have to get involved because they're going to be left at the door.
Right.
What are your thoughts on this when you consider how many points you logistically could make per day by doing simple things like playing games, like using Bing, like doing a web search, or even buying things?
Boom. It's absolute. Oh, go ahead, Lou.
I was gonna say that's 1,600 worth of games, probably 1,700 worth of games in order to get one free game in PlayStation.
Yeah, they have it listed here at $715, $750, $1,750.
Yeah. It's an absolute ripoff. It's absolutely ridiculous. Yesterday I looked at the miss and I said, "Hey, Mrs. Wolf, is it all right if we miss out on our mortgage this month so I can get myself a free game from PlayStation?" And that didn't go over too well. So of course not. Who in their right mind thinks that this is a good deal? I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous, right? When you think about it, Boom. Obviously, everyone here on the panel, it's safe to say, we're all Xbox centric gamers, so we're gonna prefer to buy our game on the Xbox platform. That's fine. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't even think I'm gonna buy 24 games for my PlayStation 5 throughout this whole generation. Okay, so the mere fact that they are charging people and expect people to this is like one of those things that it's like, oh, we have something too. The same way that they rolled out their service, that they rolled PS Plus and PS Now together just to say that they have something to compete against Game Pass is kind of like the same thing that they did here, but they didn't really think about like how this whole thing is designed, right? And maybe they did think about it. Maybe they saw across the board and they said, how would we be able to entice our gamers to want to invest into our ecosystem, and then we can give them something back without it hurting us at all? Because that's what this is. We cannot lose not one penny, okay, on this service. That's what this is designed to be. Now, obviously, common sense will tell you, Boom, you'll have your naysayers and your haters and your fanboys say, well, what are they supposed to do? They're a business. You just want them to give away stuff for free? That's not what anybody is saying. But at the same time, put yourselves into the consumer shoes, which is exactly what everyone on this panel is, and everyone listening on to the show. We're all consumers. And like Boom said, when something's a bad deal, you got to call it out. There's nothing wrong with it. And this is by far the worst. I thought that honestly, the pay to win customer service was where it ended with them. Okay. But Apparently not. Apparently they figure out ways to just one up it. When you think that they can't do anything more like anti-consumer, they just crank it up a notch. All right, you know what? 24 games. If you guys want a free game, if you guys want the privilege of downloading something for free on our store, you have to spend $1,700 with us.
Yeah,
Boom.
it's ridiculous.
I'm not, an investment banker. I'm more on the financial crime side of things. But I even have to say that this is a no-brainer for everyone listening out there.
And it seems as if it would be a no-brainer. Now, listen, like I want people to understand that when you put a comment in here, and you put a comment into the section, right? Normally, if I find it egregious, I let you do your thing. But there are times where I have to somewhat defend myself. So, Dave, I want to give you the microphone, but I want to preface it with this. Anthony Vasquez in the chat. Now, Anthony, you're welcome here, brother. Thank you for the comment. I think that it's important enough to have a conversation, so that's what we're going to do. He says this, Dave. Why would you complain about something that will eventually be free? Before the program started, you got none. At Boom, I'm sorry, but you always find a way to complain. Now, here's the thing, dude. If you feel that me calling Sony out for bad behavior is complaining, I hear you. Then call me out. It's not a problem. But here's the thing. PlayStation gamers, for what seems like decade after decade after decade, have called Microsoft to called them to the carpet for behavior that cost them a generation, right? TV, DRM, not having enough studios, not third-party games, not 60 meta, right? And we all called them out for that as well. Now, here's my thing. What Microsoft is doing, see the problem with Sony in this generation is the problem that I have with participation trophies. It is a practice that I do not agree with. I think simply showing up is not enough. Being the best at what you do, regardless of whatever that is, whether it be a police officer, a fireman, a postman, a podcaster, be your best self. And that's what I aim to do each and every time I hit the go button for a live show. I try to be better than I was before. So what I don't seem to understand is you're implying that because Sony simply just showed up and is offering something for free, eventually, what if you only buy 4 games a year? When am I going to get my free game, dude? I'm just curious. Am I going to get my free game in the next generation? And my points going to carry over? Because knowing Sony, the answer is probably not. So I hear you about the complaining thing. And if you feel that I'm complaining, well, listen, dude, I'm sorry that you feel that way. But Dave, I want to pose this question to you.
Yep.
Why do people like Anthony want to continue to give Sony the wiggle room to do bad behavior? I don't understand it. When you compare apples to apples, and that's what we have to do here. Let's compare Game Pass with Sony's thing. Let's compare the console with the console, controller versus controller, and now customer service versus one from the other. If Sony isn't keeping up to par, or at least meeting Microsoft, you should have a problem with that. And I have a problem with it, and I will continue to talk about it. What are your thoughts on gamers being tasked, Dave, to spend $1,750 to get one free game when you literally do that in a month's time on Xbox Rewards?
Yeah, it's apples to oranges. It's not that, for him saying, and I get it, like you said, if you don't like it or whatever, that's cool. But Boom's opinion, in my opinion, is straight on. That it makes sense that why would you want to spend so much money to get something free when you may not be able to spend that much to get the quote unquote the rewards? It's kind of a false statement, maybe, or more or less, if you're you're giving yourself a golden ring way out, and you're not able to reach it, but it's out there, it's just so you can keep trying and keep trying to get to it. It's I mean, his opinion is his opinion. That's fine.
Yeah, of course.
But when you say something like that, it's like, think about the change you could make by actually calling Sony out. Like when we called out Microsoft about games with gold when they raised the price, within 8 hours they made changes because there was a community outrage, and they all made points that, look, this is not right. This isn't fair. This is wrong. Think about what you're doing. And Microsoft looked at it and like, oh, you know what? We need to adjust this. If you don't hold companies accountable for their missteps or misstatements, you're not going to get the service that you deserve as a consumer. So you need to actually call them out and point out the obvious, but just to say that, oh, someday it'll be free. Okay. I don't know. For me, it's not good enough. For me, Dave, Sony's service isn't good.
Hey, Dave, can I add something to real fast?
Go for it.
I'll add this point, Anthony, and I think this is very important. The point of what we're trying to bring to the audience here is that this is Sony coming up with these things with competition breathing down their necks. Can you imagine if they had no competition at all? You would have to buy 44 games to get a free game. So I get it. I get where you're coming from.
If they didn't have competition, they wouldn't be giving away anything.
There you go.
Nothing.
There you go. So I get it, Anthony. It's true. They didn't have to do this, but we can counter you all day and say, no, they did have to do this because their direct competitor is doing it.
Yeah. No,
and,
I mean,
and,
listen.
And wouldn't you like it? I'm sorry, bro.
No,
but wouldn't he prefer that if they were going to have a service that they modeled it after what Microsoft did? Can you imagine that you'd be able to get more and more games and more benefit to your service if their model was actually modeled after what Microsoft is doing? Then it would be so much better for you as a Sony consumer to get that same kind of thing. So flip it that way instead of trying to, justify the weak position that Sony's in.
I'll be honest with you. This is something that I see from people, and I find it kind of funny. How come you want to defend on spending more and not defend spending less? That is something that keeps scratching my head.
You know what? Let's go to you. But before we do, I gotta shout out Robo Dynamic 7. He says, "Are we going to talk about Phil Spencer's shelf?" Look, here's the thing, dude. I am just learning of this, and because I'm a bit of when it comes to being meticulous with these shows, I don't like reading from my phone. It's like something I really frown against. I need to write the topic. I need to read it. This is what I promise. Tune in tomorrow, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It'll be the first topic that we talk about because apparently you're like the fifth or sixth person that says, "What about his show?" And now I'm sitting here live on the air. I'm like, shit, what did I miss? I promise you.
Boom! I know what it is. He has a picture of Master Chief getting tworked on. That's what it is.
I hope that's not in fact what it is, because I'm going to be very disappointed if that's what they leave with. But yeah, I promise we'll talk about it tomorrow. I have an incredible show lined up tomorrow. We got some new information on Starfield, folks. I got news for you. It appears that all of this delay, this game is going to be like. It's going to be something special, and I think it's going to be one of those games that not only define the genre, potentially the entire generation, and I think that it's going to move people from PlayStation back to Xbox, the same way people went from Xbox to PlayStation during the PS4, Xbox One days, and Microsoft did that to themselves. But listen, Crazy Lou Gaming, let's get your opinion on this, and then we will get Mr. Violence, Fuzzy Belvedere. What are your thoughts on this? Because like I said, listen, it's easy. I guess I said this before. It's easy to poke fun at Sony right now because they are making all the mistakes that people poked fun at Microsoft for making. Right? They mistake after mistake after mistake. But this is just another. They're just not reading the room correctly. Crazy Lou. I mean, how do you tell your fans that in order to get something for free, you need to spend $1,750 to get a free game when the other guys who've had Microsoft rewards for years have people in under a year having enough points to buy a console, let alone get a free game?
That is insane. I mean, I don't understand why people like tend to defend this and say, hey, if you spend more, it's better than to spend less. I mean, what? I mean, it's like if I go to the store and buy something, right? I'm gonna ask for a discount. I don't want my discount like no, we're gonna raise the price on this right now. No, I want a discount to pay less, and that's the basics in life. We all want to find a way to pay less, not pay more. And how do they tell the fans this? Oh man, I mean, the fans are always gonna be on their backs. I mean, look at that comment they made. You know, we always complain. We're not complaining. What we're trying to do is we're trying to call out this company that is basically trying to hammer us in with this, with all this stuff. I mean, seriously, $1,700 on just to get one free game. That is insane.
Quality.
I don't know. Quality. I'm not gonna say it though, but yeah. Damn. I mean, seriously, people just get fooled around by this. I mean, you need to sit down and rethink your comments on why you're defending this when your competition is basically doing all the great stuff for us, and we're happy about it. I mean, we're not complaining about Microsoft Rewards. We're happy with Microsoft Rewards. What do we want? We want Sony to do it practically the same way that Microsoft is doing it, so we can all be happy. But not spend $1,700. That is insane. You know how much work I have to do here in Dominican Republic just to spend $1,700 in game? Oh my God, that is a lot of money.
Look, well, here's the thing. Here's what's interesting. Even with Sony's first party and their third party games, asking a player to buy 24 games is, I mean, again, is that a year? Is that 2 years? Crazy? Is it 5 years? Is it the end of the generation? Do your points carry over? Because most people, most common folk that are not diehard gamers that sit and listen to the podcast or sit and try to make their own podcasts, buy 3 games a year. It's a Call of Duty, it's a 2K, it's a Madden, it's an occasional Spider-Man, or it's a UFC or a wrestling game. That's what they usually buy. That is the normie, if you will. How are you paying these folks back by buying on your PlayStation? What are you saying to your customers? That in order to find value, in order for us to for you to be valuable to us, you need to hit this many games bought. I think it sends a bad message, but please continue.
What they're saying is pay more to get less. That's what they're basically saying to you guys. If you guys have not figured that out, it's easy. You're paying more to get less. And that is something we want. We want these companies to be aligned. We don't want, one bigger than the other. We just want them to be aligned so we can all get the benefits that we want. And us as consumers, we want the best for us. And that's why we don't complain about what Microsoft is doing or what they've been doing. And even though they do something wrong, we're going to sit here, we're going to call them out. Like what they said about the goal when it went up, right? Everybody complained about it. I mean, Twitter blew up. Everybody was complaining about it. Say, hey, man, you guys are doing this wrong. This is bad. You got to turn this around. And Microsoft sat down and said, hey, let me switch it around. Well, basically, what Sony does, they put this on here. Probably 2 or 3 people complain, and then you got 10 people defending it. And what they do is they sit there and just let it wave away, just like poof, it just disappears, and nobody talks about it like in the next 2 weeks. It just shuts down and nobody says anything about it. And everybody just accepts that, and that is just wrong. I mean, we got to call these guys out. We got to make them stop this, Especially the funniest part about this is, which I laughed a lot last week, was when they said, hey, if you pay more, we're going to give you better customer support. I was like, I was pissed off about that. I was like, damn, I buy your console and you're telling me that if my console gets damaged, I'm going to have to wait 5 hours to be attended while another person that buys more stuff than me, right? And Sony, this is something I'm going to tell you. I spent $1,000 here in Dominican Republic. You can't find them for less anywhere in Dominican Republic. I spent $1,000 on your console. You guys do know that, right? I hope you do. But damn, you're telling me that I'm gonna have to wait in line because I don't buy a lot of games, so that other person buys more games than I do, and they get, a special treatment? That's messed up.
Hey, Lou, Boom. I got a question, and this is a question for any person out there that thinks moves like this are good. Why is Sony making it harder for gamers to jump on their platform? Why is Sony making it harder for me to want to play a game on their platform? That's the question I'm asking.
And it's a good question. It's a great question, as a matter of fact. But anything else that you would like to add to the conversation before I give it over to I Chose Violence?
Yes. Give it to Violence, because I know Violence is eager to fight. So go for it, Violence.
All right. So
get away.
Fuzzy, you're normally very reserved.
Yeah.
And this morning you have been on fire. But I want the people, before we get into what set you ablaze, let's talk about this scenario again. For the last 24 months, since the generation has started, and technically it's not 24 months yet, because that's 24 months officially in November for both consoles. So it's a little under. Let's just say it's 22 months. Let's be fair. 22 months, Sony has done everything in their power to lose a generation, right? Like, now you want to argue schematics, and that's fine. We can go back and forth all day long. But one company is going up the escalator, and the other company is going down the escalator. And we have seen roles reversed. This was Sony going up the escalator in last gen, and Microsoft figuring out a way to fall down the stairs. And now it's changed. Yeah. Microsoft is going up the escalator. They've done deal after deal after deal, and they continue to do things that are pro-consumer, that are not anti-consumer or anti-competitive. This is another instance of I hear background noise. Somebody has this too loud, I think, with their mic. Just mute your mics if you have something playing in the background. I'm sorry about that, but Fuzzy, please try to make sense of this. $1,715 versus basically you just playing games. Yeah. Like, Microsoft can get you free things, including Xbox Game Pass subscriptions, by simply just playing games, where Sony wants you to buy not 1, not 10, not 17, 24 full price games.
It's funny to me, because as someone that has 2 teenage boys that are into gaming as well, and I'm pretty heavy into gaming. Wife is not so much into gaming, but she does still play on her PS4 and stuff. And with Microsoft, if you just wanted to buy games, you didn't do Bing searches, you didn't do any of the extra stuff that they give you opportunities to do. All you have to do is buy 10 games to get 1 game free. So buy 10, get 1 free. That's like the most normal thing. Like, even in a grocery store, buy 10, 2-liter bottles, get 1 free. Or, well, not necessarily, but it's you get what I'm saying. It's like a common sense. It's within reason. It's not like, oh my God, I gotta spend so much more to get something for free. And I get it. Some people are like, well, at least they're giving you something for free. And that's fine. But me as a consumer, if you're not trying to court my dollars to get me into your ecosystem, I mean, granted, I'm already in the PlayStation ecosystem. I'm already in the Xbox ecosystem. And the main reason why Xbox is my main is because of their programs, where it makes it easier to reward yourself by either playing games, doing searches on Bing. Yes, I know Google search is a better search, but guess what? Except for when you're trying to shop for a specific deal on something, 9 times out of 10, Bing is pretty darn close. And the same goes as far as their use of, Edge, now that it's on Chromium. I mean, it's almost the same thing. It's just Chrome in a Microsoft wrapper. So the fact that you can play games, buy games, like just buying 10 games, that automatically gives you a free game. You play, I would say you could probably complete, I'm going to say 20 plus tasks. I mean, you could skate by doing 10 tasks a month, as far as like, open up Game Pass, or start a game that's in Game Pass, or kill 5 enemies, things like that. I would say within 3 months you would have enough for a game, because I know that's what I used to do before, and I would have my sons do that as well. It's like, hey, if you want to be able to get some games for free, like the ones that I'm not really interested in buying, but with Game Share they would have access to, but if they just want it themselves and I'm not going to bother playing it, hey, do some of these tasks here on Game Pass and you'll be able to get your own game. And they're all for it. So it's like, it makes it so simple. So the fact that you'd have to spend almost $1,800 to get one free game, I mean, even Apple is better on their stuff when it comes to that. And it's like, I think if you spend like last time I bought a MacBook, I think I spent $1,400, and you get like 100 off or something like that, depending on what time of year you buy it. Or you'll get like well, back in the day, you used to be able to get like the mini iPad things, not iPads, the iPod. I forget what the mini ones were called. They had a special name for it. But anyway, it just seems like Sony's not really trying. Like I understand they have a pretty substantial player base, but if your main competitor is now stepping up to the plate and taking some of your market share, like it's not like it was before where PlayStations were selling 2-to-1 easily when it came to the Xbox One generation. Now it's more like for every 10 PlayStations that sell, 9 Xboxes are selling. That should make you tighten up your game as far as how you want to compete or how you want to move forward, considering over these last few generations, we saw it cap out at, like, I think the max that you can, expect the customer base to buy is like 250 million consoles. And I don't think any company's ever come close to that solely. I mean, sure, there have been times where both, PlayStation and Nintendo have, sold 100 million each, and, Xbox kind of limped in with 50 or so. But now that they're on a lot more even footing this gen, you want to have programs that are going to help lock people into the ecosystem. I mean, like, look at how Apple does it. I mean, although I'm not the biggest Apple fan anymore, especially considering, it's like iMessage, how it tries to lock you into their ecosystem, and how you can't access Mac Mail without some sort of hack to, if you're not on an Apple device anymore. So there's ways to reward your customers or to at least lock them in, but making it so it's like, oh, you get a free game after spending almost $1,800, when the other side's like, oh, spend $600 and you get a free game. I don't know. It just seems
let me get a little busy. Let me get a little messy one more time here, okay? So you want me to tell you what I think, Fuzz?
Yeah.
I think that Jim Ryan's sitting down there in his desk, made of marble, of course, and he has his foot on his foot as on one of the employees as a stool, okay? And he's thinking to himself, how can I see Microsoft putting the pressure on. How can I make it appear to our most hardcore gamers that we're giving them something a lot that is kind of like what Microsoft is offering, so that even if they have 1 ounce of a chance of turning, we turn the tides on them and we give them something. Okay. And that's where something like this comes from, at least to me.
I imagine
it's like a carrot on a 6-foot stick.
I imagine the advertising right now. It says, "Hey, buy me, spend $1,800, you get a free game." Yeah, nice. Awesome advertisement, son. Awesome. And if you spend $1,800, we're gonna make you our top customer too. Yes, awesome advertising. Yes. And Microsoft said, "Hey, you buy me, you spend $600, you get a free game." And not only that, we give you customer support no matter what. Even though you buy one game or don't buy any, we still give you the same customer support.
Jim Ryan personally, he sends for the fanboys to come into his office and he asks, "Hey, how much to keep you happy? Whatever you want, Jim." And he says, "How about 24 games? Sounds good to me, Jim. I'll take another one."
I can imagine. Yep.
No, I can actually see the conversation going 24. That's not enough, Jim. 36. Let's go 36. Go 48 games. You know what?
Yeah. $80. And not only that, exactly. Not 70. It charges $80 for them. We'll be a lot more happy to
Jim, I need to prove my loyalty to you guys. Charge me more, please. Not
it's better quality.
Jim, you're just giving it all 24. Away.
Yes,
the quality is so beautiful.
Rain in the chat says, I can't even name 24 full-priced games. WTF? And you know what?
I think I can though. I think I can. I got to sit down and take note of that. But yeah, that probably we can reach 24. Probably, yeah.
What you do is you go to Sony store and then you set the thing to highest price and scroll down, and you'll find plenty of games.
Yeah, we cannot be perceived as the Walmart of gaming, Jim. So we want to pay more, please.
It's well, you know, listen, it is what it is, folks. We have 433 people here in the chat. Of course, I want to say everyone is welcome. Thanks so much for making this show a surprise hit. Obviously, you know, I have tried and failed on numerous shows over the years of being on YouTube, and this one seems to have stuck. So again, full-time streamer 5 days a week. If you're enjoying the content, if you're enjoying the hysterics is what it is, and the comedy that we're offering to you, consider subscribing to the channel. But I do want to get to the next I want to say next chapter, but the next topic. But before I do, my God, ladies and gentlemen, the super chats have come in quite often, and I got to thank everyone here. First of all, Kirby Zero Louise, our designer friend of the show. What's up, Kirby? Hopefully you are doing well. He drops a $10 super chat and says, PS stars buy two $70 games and get $5 off Nintendo Online. Buy two $60 games and get $20 off. Sony is 4 times worse than Nintendo. And Nintendo Online is a joke. Yeah, it's pretty bad that when your other better option is Nintendo, because we know they're a bunch of cheap MFs over there, which is why their war chest is so packed. But we have Top Shada drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, look for the FTC approval in November because of these reasons: Senate Majority Leader, Capital Region, CWA, and Vicarious Visions. I look, we're going to get into it. I don't really think that, Brazil, their CADE ruled on Brazilian customers. I want that. I don't think anyone has really said that out loud. It is not an overall broad stroke against the world. They are for Brazilian customers. But I got to be honest with you folks. If you've read the document, again, if you are into the business that we're into, where you need to have this information, take 30 minutes and read that document. It is pretty packed with information. And it's hard to imagine that even though Brazil may not be, number one in the world for, video games, or may not be the biggest country as opposed to some others, even when comparing it to the US and the UK and the EU, what they had to say is so damning, is so spot on perfect. I would find it very, very hard, unless you can potentially articulate collusion or even at worst corruption, specifically with the CWA. The fact that in their documents, in their phase 1, says we are concerned for Sony PlayStation's place in the market is a problem. And if you don't think it is, and you are okay with collusion, if you're okay with corruption, then this is not the podcast for you. I can assure you of that, because we will not stand for that. If the shoe was on the other foot, I would be calling Microsoft to the carpet, because I'm an ex-cop, for Christ's sake, and I don't deal in a legal business. I was very honorable in my position, and I still hold strong to that belief, because that was instilled in me since I was a kid. And that goes for something as small as taking someone's mail, or something as big as this. So you take it for what it's worth. I think that the CMA, the EU, and pretty much everyone are not going to have any problems. And I would even dare say that I don't think there's going to be any restrictions, because why should there be? There should not be any restrictions. But again, we'll get to that in a second.
Oh, I was going to ask, though, aren't they supposed to protect us consumers, though?
Well, they're supposed to protect the consumers, and as a matter of fact, CADE actually said that they are there to protect the consumers of Brazil, and not a single entity. Meaning, where I thought it was a shot across the bow at both the CMA as well as Sony.
They basically told Jim, take all this information, Jim, and stick it.
Yeah, pretty
But
much.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, because it's insane. I mean, look, we're right now talking about if you spend $1,800 to buy, you get a free game. And Microsoft, you spend $600. Why don't you guys call them out too? Look what Sony's doing, the price raise on the console after they made money off it too, and they still don't call them out.
Nope.
Seriously, nope.
They don't, and it's very unfortunate. But Sith Lord, who has been a channel member for 2 months, drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "Great day, Boom! You're awesome show. Thank you for that." XNC tonight, which of course is the Colt Eastwood show that's on his channel with, of course, Gaz from Game On Daily. That show goes live, I believe it's 8:00. I'm pretty sure it's 8:00. But yeah, definitely check out Colt Eastwood show XNC tonight. And he also says, and the 10-year wait for the final arc in Bleach. Thank you for making Mondays awesome. Well, thank you very much for the compliment, brother. But thank you for being here as always. But listen, folks, let's get into. I'm gonna write to Fuzzy on this, because Fuzzy, you had some things to say about what continues to be another black eye for Sony when it comes to Gran Turismo. Gran Turismo 7 was supposed to come out and be not only a return to form to the what used to be the king of racers, but a celebration of a PlayStation 5 version of what again was supposed to be the best of the best of the best, sir. Right? Well, unfortunately, that didn't turn out to be the case, because the game was not only riddled with bugs, it was riddled with microtransactions. And it has had some updates. They did some egregious things that people talked about for a hot minute and forgot all about it. They raised the price of cars when people were finding a way to redo races to earn money to get said cars, and they figured out a way to stop that. They've done some egregious things to basically have people stop playing the game. You continue to play the game because you are a fan of the series. Before we get into what is being done right over at Playground Games and their biggest update for the 10th anniversary of Forza Horizon, which is coming up on the 23rd of this month, why did you tweet what you did today?
Well, I always see on Twitter people are like, "Oh, you guys are stupid for thinking Forza's in the same league as Gran Turismo, and just accept fact that it Gran Turismo is better." And it's like, okay, I enjoy both games, and each one has its strong points and its weak points. And every time I see someone try to point out the strong points, they point out the entirely wrong strong points on Gran Turismo, or the entirely wrong weak points on Forza. So it's not that I wanted to put anybody in their place, but it's like, frustrated as a person that enjoys playing Gran Turismo, there are some key things in that game that just disturb me, as far as it's like the decisions that they've made over the years and things. So a lot of people are like, "Oh, the graphics are great," and it's like, well, you're using scapes, which I like that scapes mode, but it would be better if they put that much emphasis on in-game graphics as far as the ray tracing. And a lot of people will talk about the accuracy of the cars. It's like, okay, that's great, but guess what? More Miatas sell in the US or outside of Japan than they do in Japan. So why are they still putting that as a right-hand drive only car? And when you sell 300 in Japan in a year, but you sell 300 in a week in the States, you would think they would have enough sense to focus on the left-hand drive version. But no, they do the right-hand drive version. Another thing is they don't do double file restarts. Now, or not even restarts, just rolling starts in double file. Like, they have it where you could do grid start, or you can do single file rolling start. Double file restart is common in almost every form of racing, every form. So this is supposed to be a sim racing game, but they can't do the one thing that is in almost all forms of racing. The only time you don't really have double file, but it's drag racing, it's side by side, or you have special events in like IndyCar or other open wheel forms where it's 3 wide. Why can't they get that right as far as doing double wide rolling start? And then the single file rolling start, the flag waves when the leader passes the start finish line in all the racing, and the clock starts from that point. You're not supposed to be able to pass until you get to that point. But it's like by the time the way they space things out in the single file rolling start, you're already a half a lap behind the leader. And it's like the worst style of a sim racing setup out there. And they don't have many cars, real cars. Like they're VGT or they're Vision cars. They're great and all, but they're imaginary. Some of them are based on concept cars. Some of them are a mix of concept and what could potentially be. But I would rather have a nice amount of new cars from 2017 and on. And even Motorsport 7, which came out in 2017. Now, they don't get anywhere near the updates that Horizon gets. But bear in mind, there are more 2018 and newer cars in Motorsport 7 than the day that Gran Turismo 7 launched. And that's a 5-year difference.
Yeah.
So
Fuzzy.
What's up?
Fuzzy. They're waiting for their consumers to pay more in the game so that way they can add all that stuff. Shh.
Yeah, I guess they're hoping that the microtransactions will help fund the additional support and stuff. But
there you go. You got it. Yeah.
Some would call it grand transaction.
But it's just one of those things that it bothers me that nobody really wants to call these things out, but they'll say that they're mad on the forums, but outside of that, even on the forums, if you say what everybody is thinking, like this is crap that we just get a convertible version of a VGT car that's already in the game, like when there's so many other cars that people request, nobody asked for a convertible version of an imaginary car, but you gave it to us anyway because you only do 3 every other month. When you got not Motorsport, you got Forza Horizon, gives you like 3 cars a week. But hey, what do I know? And at least one of them is 2019 and newer, maybe even 2022 or 2023. But no, they'll give you a car from the 80s. They'll give you an imaginary car. And then maybe once every 3 or 4 updates, they'll give you a car that the actual community asked for, not what the devs wanted to put in and kind of force you to drive. No, they may give you a stone or a ball or something as far as one of your requests, but it just.
So Fuzzy, is it safe to say that Sony is banking on the Gran Turismo brand to kind of test out this grand transaction model where they said, how can we use this property, this IP to our advantage so that we can kind of soft launch our first gas game and kind of see and learn from our mistakes here and see how this thing really works? So you think that that's a possibility? Because there's no doubt in my mind from everything that you have just said, your analysis of this game, this was a PlayStation 4 generation title, probably a launch title that didn't make the cut.
Yeah, and Polyphony has always been slow to production. I mean, great work, but there's only but so much perfection you can try to squeeze out of something before you need to release it and actually have it breathing in the world type of thing. But yeah, I think this is definitely an experiment for their games as a service model that they're looking to go with. But I prefer they lean more so on Destiny as opposed to doing what they're trying now, or even look at your competitor. And I'm not saying you have to copy it like for like or anything along those lines, but at least do something similar where if you're going to have a 25th anniversary edition, like Horizon's at its 10th anniversary, and they're already having it where you can get some of the cars that were cover cars, like special
cover
versions
cars,
of
yeah,
them.
we're going to talk about that. Yeah, cover cars of each one of the games released. That's crazy.
Yeah, and they even have some of the throwback songs, like the menu songs, and some of the songs that are like the greatest hits from all of the previous Horizons that you can unlock. I mean, they do so much of what the community asks. Like that's the biggest thing. And this might be like a platform, thing or whatever, but it seems like most of the Xbox studios will listen to their fan base, no matter how toxic some of us may get. They still at least listen. I mean, I'm pretty sure they filter through, some of the nonsense for like some of the good stuff, but they at least listen. When it comes to like a PlayStation studio, I would say the only ones that seem to kind of listen were Sucker Punch with Ghost of Tsushima, and they went and did the whole free, online stuff, but the drawback is now the community doesn't seem to play it because I can't find anybody on my PlayStation friends list to do any of the raids with. But it just seems like the whole games as a service thing. I hope Destiny gets them on track, or Bungie, I should say, gets them on track as far as how they can implement it a little bit better. But they really need to look at what Forza's been doing, both in motorsport and in Horizon over the years, as far as special events and track rival days and things like that. Like they have daily races in Gran Turismo, but you don't hear of any of the devs turning hot laps and like, hey, beat my lap. Like there was a few times in Motorsport 7 where Phil was like, oh, I turned a lap of 1:37 at this track.
Whoa, Fuzzy, that's not true. Jim Ryan pulled up next to me and asked me if I had any Grey Poupon.
I was just going to ask you if he asked for Grey Poupon. It's funny you say that, but he'd probably break his bread and then have someone come pick it up for him. Listen, Fuzzy, stay right there, because what I want to do is we have to get to the big topic of the day, which of course is what the EU, the leaked document that came out with the questionnaire. But I do want to get everyone's opinion on this. But before we do that, I'll catch up on Super Chats, and then I'm going to break down the list that comes to us from Windows Central. In fact, you know what? Let me do that first. Now, I pulled this story from Windows Central. Again, another place that we value here in the community, especially because, you know, Jez Corden is a good friend of this program. He's a great friend of the community. This story was written by Zachary Body. And it talks about the Forza Horizon 5 10-year anniversary DLC, which of course is free. And it's pretty crazy that this 10-year anniversary celebration is offering as much as it. First of all, just to give you the skinny of it, it is literally the biggest update in the franchise's history. Now, I'm not going to get into the minutia of what is in there. I'm going to read you what they have listed, and I will attach this story to the show notes once this goes up on video on demand if you want to read the story for yourself. But it starts off with the fact that they're giving you, in this big update, new festival playlist. You're getting new cars for free. That's the 2010 Aston Martin, the 2010 Ferrari 599XX, the 2011 Argara, the 2012 Speedster, and the 2013 Dodge Viper SRT. They're adding a new Horizon story, an actual story to this, where it's going to allow you to not only add races that celebrate the 10 years of the brand, but it says here, Horizon Origins is the latest Horizon story addition to Forza Horizon 5, and it travels through the years to celebrate the entire history of the Forza Horizon Festival, evolving world updates. New radio stations are being added, which is pretty cool if you like to listen to the music. New achievements, accolades, and badges, as well as the return of midnight battles. You're also going to get a new event lab props, the ability to add new rims to customize your car, new player cosmetics, and a plethora of bug fixes. And that comes on the heels of this 10-year celebration. And again, it's the biggest update. It is not only their biggest update, but it is for free. You do not have to pay anything for this update. I think that is, again, one of those situations where they look to their customers and are constantly offering their fan base value after value after value for simply being fans of the platform, being fans of the brand. Quickly, Dave, let's go to you first on this. When you think of what Fuzzy Belvedere has talked about, and he obviously he can speak about this for 3 hours because he knows his stuff. We only have 95 minutes on this show, so we're going to go quickly around. What are your thoughts on this celebration of Forza Horizon 5, celebrating its 10-year anniversary, and obviously Forza Horizon 5 being one of the biggest in the series?
Yeah, I think it's it just kind of shows the difference between the two companies as to how they acknowledge, the historic, 10-year anniversary mark, and they give back to the community and the people that supported the game. And if you enjoy playing the game, you've got all this bonus stuff that you can just jump right into and enjoy the game. So that's what I see for it. It's like that's awesome, but that's a clear difference between what Sony does with their game and what Microsoft does with theirs. That's why I see it. It's just a big difference, and you can plainly see, who kind of respects the players more.
Again, I couldn't have said it better myself. John, let's get your opinion on this, brother. When you see what Forza is doing, and I say Forza, talking about Playground Games, there are the developers now. Of course, Turn 10 Studios does help, and back and forth they help each other. But if you consider what Fuzzy Belvedere had to say regarding his wants and the fact that as a player, as an actual Gran Turismo player, he feels like Sony or Polyphony doesn't listen to the fans. And then you turn around, you look again. This is one of those things. Look at one side and they're not doing it. You look at the other side, they're doing it. There is room to have a conversation. Now, you can call it complaining, but I think we're just having a conversation. No one's throwing Polyphony under the bus. I'm just saying they need to be better and they need more support from SIE because apparently, based on what we've heard from Fuzzy's very, very accurate detail, they're coming up a little short. And now we're seeing the way it's done. What are your thoughts on the two?
Yeah, it's funny because everything that Fuzzy pointed out, it's kind of what the community as a whole has been saying for a long time, that Forza has been just doing circles around Gran Turismo, and it's a shame because Gran Turismo it's a beloved franchise from the early PS1 days. It really is a shame. But Boom, when you sent me this article to read up on it, it caught me by surprise because honestly I didn't know this was coming. I read, I quickly read through it and all the good stuff they have coming, man. Kudos to Playground Games. They saw this this anniversary coming up, and they really thought of a cool and creative way to give back to the community and to say, hey, we're really proud of this franchise, and the fact that Forza Horizon 5 was played by, I think at one time, over 20 million players goes a lot to say. And they didn't just throw a little one or two things here. I'll give you an example. When you were listing off those cars, and I could be wrong, Fuzzy would be the expert here. Isn't the Viper the first cover of that the first car that was on the cover of Horizon?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So a nice little touch like that, it is a nice little throwback, and it just goes to show, man, they're giving this game the MCU treatment, which is say thank you to the fans by putting little things in there that longtime players of the franchise would appreciate and rally behind. And I say big kudos to them for really thinking about this and not just throwing just one or two things here.
Good, great points. Web Dave, we got to Web Dave, so let's Fuzzy. We'll come back to you in the back end. Let's get over to Crazy Lou. Crazy Lou, look again. Not the biggest topic of the day, but one worthy of a conversation nonetheless. One is doing it right, the other isn't. What are your thoughts on the update, free update, mind you, that's coming, celebrating the 10 years of Forza Horizon as a platform?
It's awesome. It's fantastic. I mean, I just love what they're doing over there at Playground, and it keeps you upgraded, keeps you happy, and they keep giving you good stuff. And it saddens me that Gran Turismo isn't doing the same thing, especially such a franchise that we've all played it since when? PS1, probably? When did it come on PS1, right? It came on PS1. So we've all been playing that game since PS1, and they've been just getting a lot more greedier than before. And seriously, it just saddens me and breaks my heart to hear this stuff, that Gran Turismo was such a game that we love and enjoy is not being as flexible as Forza that only has 10 years in the making. And they've been doing such a good job with that game. And it's keeping us Forza fans happy and us car fans happy. I mean, I'm a guy that plays every Friday Forza with the Forza Friday guys. And each time we get on, we just love and enjoy. They keep adding more stuff to the game. So it makes us happy and for free. We don't have to go out and spend. Like in Gran Turismo, you got to spend to get stuff. That's insane. So yeah, I'm really happy that Playground Games is doing a great job, and I'm really happy that they're bringing, for example, they're bringing up a mode. What was it? Midnight something? Fuzzy, you know that mode? Midnight.
The night races.
Yes.
Night races. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That
That was
like
actually in Forza Horizon 3. Crazy,
Yeah.
they're bringing it back because it was awesome, and they took it away. So the fact that they listened to the community, as Fuzzy's saying, and they brought something back that the community's been asking for.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Those guys are doing a great job, and seriously, I hope that Gran Turismo can sit there and say, "Hey, let me get some ideas from you guys and compete. We want competition, guys. The more the competition, the better for us. That's what we want."
I agree. And close out this topic for us, Fuzzy. When you talk about the celebration, what they're offering in regards to a giant free update, one of the biggest in the series history, coming for the price of free.
They've been doing things like this after like the normal support window for a lot of their Horizon games, and to have this anniversary kind of be like the big grand send off, not really even send off, but like to look back over the past 10 years of their content and have it where you can either make your own tracks and have some of the props from the previous games as things that you can add for the track layout, and the different tracks for the new radio station that they have, some of the returning cars that are like, fan favorites, adding more rivals, races. Like you could do the night races as rivals as well. So they're extending the life of this game. Like when it comes to games as a service, you always wonder what is going to make you come back to a game 6 months later or a year later, or still be playing that same game 2 years later. These are the types of things that they like to do, and they've really, I would say, just short of having like additional map space stuff, they've definitely knocked it out of the park for me. Like my dream was, along with this 10-year anniversary, like prior to hearing anything, because I don't have any inside info. I wish I did, but I was hoping they would have like, oh, you could go to like the airport and fast travel to like the original, Horizon 1 map, or the Horizon 2 map, or Horizon 3, those different locations would be awesome. But having it where you have pretty much all of the content from those, that you, if you want to make your own race, like the city in Australia that they had for like downtown area, you can recreate that now for like a particular race if you want to, because they have those assets available. You, much like what we'll probably have for Halo Forge, you have kind of something along those lines. Maybe not as fancy as what Forge is going to be, but definitely a step up from what they've had with the Design Lab stuff, or the Forza Lab stuff that they've had in Horizon 5 prior. But I would say for anybody that's put down Horizon for, let's say, a few months, because I've done that as well. Like from time to time, I'll take a break from it. Like just before Hot Wheels, I took a break from it, and after completing most of the Hot Wheels stuff, took a little break from it. This is definitely going to bring me back, as far as for not only collecting the cars, not only changing up some of my setups, changing some of the, because they're adding like 20 wheels from one manufacturer. And I don't think that that's a one-off. I think we'll probably see more wheel manufacturers added in nice little chunks like that as well. And before, they've also done some upgrades for like the paint booth, as far as like you can now have like matte finish stickers, glossy stickers, metallic stickers, and things like that. So a lot of the things that people have been asking for all along from the launch of this game up to now are pretty much being added after the fact. And this 10-year anniversary is like a grand spotlight on all that. So like I said, if you're into arcade racers, because I know, some of us that are into sim, not as much into the arcade, but arcade is always fun, especially when you can, cut across somebody's yard or just drive wherever you want. I mean, just short of like the mountain range, unless you have an off-road vehicle, you can go pretty much anywhere on the map type of deal. And this 10-year anniversary is like the best, thank you to fans I've seen from any racing genre, developer. I mean, I'm looking forward to Need for Speed Unbound, but yeah, this definitely, this update's definitely something to look forward to. So I encourage everybody to, hop in.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think it's going to be, it's something to be said about getting a free update of this, that's this stacked. But you know what? What I want to do is, folks, I have to catch up with some of the super chats, and then of course we will get to the big topic of the show. And the show is going to run into a little bit of overtime, so stand by, folks. We also have Robo, who's 2024 has become a channel member. Well, but dude, thank you so much for that. And actually, he just messaged me where he says that he just put 200 pounds worth of rewards points to get his kids their Christmas gift. I'm assuming either it's a Series X or a Series S. That's pretty dope. 200 pounds in a region where inflation has gone up 18%, right? Think about that for a hot second. And Microsoft is still doling out these points on a daily basis, and now he's going to be able to make his kids Christmas. I think that's an amazing story. Thanks so much for sharing that, brother. But listen, we have Jay Rambert drops a very generous $10 super chat. It says this: shout out to Fuzzy. I was looking at my stocks this morning, and he made me realize that as of right now, Activision stock is more valued than Sony's. Yeah, Sony's stock continues to plummet. And folks, I don't know if this is another story for the end of the year, but if their stock drops below $50, they're getting bought out. Someone's going to buy them.
Google PlayStation 6 coming up.
It could very well be, because they according to what I was reading, a lot of people were posting, they're down 49% year over year. Folks, 49%. That means that you're like bleeding money. Like, I don't know. I mean, I understand, other places like Microsoft, they're down like, I think it was like
22.
Yeah, 21, 22%. Everyone is down, but to be down nearly 50%, yikes. I honestly don't know what's happening. And this is probably why they're concerned about, Call of Duty and such, but we continue. Drawn TJ, generous friend of the program, does a $5 super chat and says, people that are whining about this deal need to grow up. It's called business. Indeed it is. Raiden Blade drops not one, but two £2 super chats. In the first one, he says, I just arrived. What have I missed? Xbox got me stuff. Indeed it does. And he says, Cade is reminding the other regulators of the job. Indeed, I think that the Cade regulators set a very, very high bar for other regulators to follow. And I think at the end of the day, that is where they're all going to fall. Hargeet Chani, who's been a member for a month, drops a very generous $20 super chat and says the other regulatory agencies will do the full analysis and will come to the same conclusion. PlayStation doesn't have the same ridiculously large market share in Brazil as it does in other territories. Protect your citizens, not Sony. And I think listen, they said it. They've been the market leader for over 20 years. They have over 20 years of experience, how to make money. They can invest in their own ecosystem, bring back a SOCOM, put the millions and millions of development dollars into a new SOCOM, and you have a rival for Call of Duty. That's the end of the story. I don't know what else to say about it, but I have two stories in front of me. And this is the first one, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, Reuters or Rudders, Reuters is the one
it's
that
Reuters.
Is Reuters. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it's Reuters is the one that broke this story. This came to us on October 7th, which was Friday. It was written by Fu Yun Chi, who is attached to the website. And the story basically says this: the EU wants to know if Microsoft will block rivals after Activision deal. Now, this is what the story says, and I'm reading verbatim. Apparently, the EU had a leaked document that made its way to the interwebs, where they asked over 100 questions to Microsoft or Xbox rivals, and that was everyone. That was Google, that was Sony, that was Amazon, that pretty much everyone that was polled in the original Brazilian first look was polled here. And obviously we don't know what everyone had to say, because their decision or everyone's answers to these questions were due today on the 10th. Now I'm assuming that tomorrow, along with what's on Phil Spencer's shelf, we could be returning to this. But what it is asking, and what the European Commission is basically asking, is this: game developers and publishers and distributors were asked whether the deal would affect their bargaining power regarding the terms of selling console and PC games via Microsoft's Xbox and its cloud gaming streaming service, Xbox Game Pass. It also goes on to say that regulators also wanted to know if there would be a significant alternative suppliers in the market to the deal, and also in the event Microsoft decides to make Activision games exclusively available on its Xbox platform, its Game Pass and cloud streaming services. What Rudders is also saying is that this is, like I said earlier, 100-question survey. And of course, this is who they asked specifically. NVIDIA's GeForce Now, Sony's PlayStation, Google Stadia, which they're dead, Amazon Luna, and Facebook Gaming could be considered the most attractive of who they asked. But I'm sure that there were other companies like EA and such that they asked whether or not they had a problem. And like I said, many of us in the community have already seen that most competitors didn't have a problem because the marketplace has gotten so big. As a matter of fact, that this is where it comes into question why Microsoft launched that website. Now, that website obviously caught a lot of people like Jez Corden, like Randall Thor 19, a little off guard. They weren't understated. They weren't sure, if you listen to the last Xbox 2, why they would do it, but they understood, just like we do here on Double Barrel Gaming, that it was launched to educate the gaming world. Now, whether that is us per se, whether that is the normies who buy 3 games, or the regulators who really don't have an invested interest in gaming, they had to know that the gaming market has exploded on the scene. So here's my question, and I'll start first with Dave on this. Dave, you happen to know a lot about the comings and goings of the fiscal world. Are you expecting the EU to be anything different from what we've seen with Brazil, considering this 100 questionnaire that was accidentally or on purpose leaked? Do you expect any of the answers from rivals to change? But more importantly, what are you expecting the EU to actually say once this questionnaire has been answered?
Um, uh, I'm getting to that. First, I mispronounced. It actually pronounced Reuters.
Yeah,
Oh,
Reuters.
Reuters.
It's part of the international news service.
Thank you.
So sorry, my bad.
Cheers.
Tomato.
So, but
Tomato.
that was my misspeak, not Boom's. So, but yeah, no, it. I think that they are actually going to the questionnaires, were vague and over 100 questions from what I understand. We don't know all of them, but they basically were just putting out their feelers, as it were. But when it's all said and done, the end result is going to be that this deal is going to pass, and there may not be any restrictions. A lot of people are thinking, oh, there's going to be restrictions, there's going to be this, there's going to be that. And I understand that the Brazilian government, it's a different market, but to their points, those points pretty much can apply anywhere and across the board. And I don't, like I said, the concessions that Microsoft has already put out there, the 3 years that are above and beyond, what they had to do to begin with. They could just step back and wait to see what they said at all. We went ahead and threw that out there. So, you know what? We're willing to do this. Let's just get this deal done. And that was, like you said, above and beyond. But I don't think that there's going to be anything that's going to stop this. And I know some of the regulatory bodies, but I think most of the main bodies are going to have their decision before November, or at least in November of this year. I mean, there may still be 1 or 2 out there that haven't made their decisions, but I really think we're coming to the end on this, guys. I think it's coming to the end.
But I ask myself, why are they defending so much PlayStation?
I'll get to that on my answers.
Yeah, I absolutely. I just think that they're just throwing it all out there because they're trying to, everything that can stick or everything points that's been made, they're trying to put that to the answer. Well, hold on. Hold up. They're trying to get that is their answer. In other words, they're trying to get to anything that could possibly be said, that, let's get everything out there that can be said. That's why they put it in the questionnaire. But when it's all said and done, the questionnaire is going to come back as, cool, let's get this thing through. I'm just telling you, there's more people. There's, in fact, the last couple of ones, the only people that were really sticking on it or giving problems to it were Sony. And why? Because they're scared of Game Pass. End of story. Whoever's next, go for it.
Yeah, let's bring you in, crazy. What do you want to add to the conversation? And more importantly, based on a second story that I pulled from Video Games Chronicles that was written by Tom Ivan, and this was posted on Friday as well on October 7th. They said, according, let's see, the questionnaire reportedly asks whether or not Microsoft will be incentivized to block competitors' access to Activision Blizzard series, which include Call of Duty, Diablo, and Overwatch, which we know Overwatch is multi-plat, Diablo is multi-plat, in order to boost its standings in both console and PC standings. And even if they did, so what? Sony goes out of their way to block everything from Microsoft gamers, including, I don't know, Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy 16, Spider-Man as a character, you name it, they have done it. So I don't see why it's good for the goose, but not good for the gander. But please, Crazy Lou, take it away.
Because, I mean, like I was asking, why do they defend so much PlayStation? I mean, they don't even bring up Nintendo. It's like, Nintendo's out there. They don't mention Nintendo. That's something I keep asking myself. Why don't you put Nintendo into the argument? But Nintendo's not even into that either because they don't care. They keep doing their own thing, and they're doing pretty well, and that's something I said before, and I said it last week. I don't know what the hell Sony's doing. I mean, you said what they did last week, that the investors and people want them to complain and all this stuff, like to stop this deal from happening. But I don't find any reason why they keep trying to push it further down the road, like, hey, this is not going to happen, this is not going to go through, because their excuses are just like, for example, that's one excuse, right? Are they gonna block it? They can't block it. Why not? They can't block it because, I mean, if Sony would buy it, they would have blocked it since day one. They would have said, nope, this is ours. To hell with you. I mean, seriously, that's what they would have said. No joke. We know that for a fact because they blocked Final Fantasy games. They block all their games. The Spider-Man character to get out there is hard, and Sony would do it. So if Microsoft does that, I don't find nothing wrong with that. Or if not, like I said before, Sony, sit down, have a conversation with them, get a negotiation with them, and get your game back over there. But just don't do it like this because they make you sound super weak and super horrible. You sound super greedy too. And not only that, CMA also like supporting your ideas and your thoughts. That's just wrong. I mean, I thought the CMA was supposed to support us consumers a lot more than the competition, the interest of the competition. That is insane. Every time I hear that, I mean, I scratch my head and I say, why are they protecting so much PlayStation? I mean, they've been market leaders for 20 years. They've been doing an awesome job, which this is what happens when you do an awesome job. You're going to get a big competitor out there. Now, what are you going to do to face this competitor? You got to find ways. Like, for example, we said it before, make games, make Soulcom, make this, make that. But you don't focus on that. What you're focusing right now is making remasters, remakes, remasters, and stuff like that. What's wrong with you guys? I mean, seriously, stop complaining. Get to what it is today, accept the buy, and be just happy about it. And just let it go through. Let us consumers be happy about it. That we're getting it in Game Pass day one, and we're going to have fun in Game Pass. You guys should do that too. You guys should get your service like that. You guys should bring God of War, for example. I mean, I'll give you an example. This Last of Us game that came out, the remaster is what I call it. They should have put it in their service day one. They should have put that game on there. Just to get the service, just to get that service, what's it called? Just to push that service up. So people can go and consume it, and not letting Yoshida go out there and say, hey, that service is for old games. I mean, literally, that just made me question myself. Should I pay for that service?
Technically, that is an old game, but okay.
Oh, yeah, it is an old game, but...
And the questionnaire wasn't sent out by Sony, though, just to make that clear. That wasn't nothing to do with Sony.
Oh, I know.
Some questions that relate to that.
But what I say is where they say, is this going to affect PlayStation?
Lou,
Why? What?
I'll get into it with the CMA portion on my answer because I've done a lot of research on that end, and
I mean,
maybe after I explain a little bit of
okay.
why, trying to put logic behind it, and it'll maybe that'll come through a little bit more.
Okay, go for it. Maybe I'm kind of confused about something, but I mean, I see
No,
that
no, no. It's
they
black and
try,
white. It should be black and white, right?
yeah.
The government agencies are out there to protect the consumer and to make sure
Mhm.
that competition can thrive in the market, and to make sure that they're not giving one company too much power where there will be no competition, and where they can turn around tomorrow and say, hey, if you want to play if for Game Pass, we're going to charge you $99 a month, and there's no competitor that can do anything about it. That's technically what they should be looking out for, right? So
Yeah.
in my research that I've done, and again, I'm not an expert when it comes to acquisitions. I'm not an attorney. I'm none of those things, nor do I know anything about the regulators and what they should be doing. But I have common sense, all right, and I
Yeah.
am an investigator. That's my job. So I like to look. I like to look through everything so I can come to my own conclusion. All right, and what I do know is that in the EU specifically, around the PlayStation 4 generation, because I don't know about now. I haven't done my research on that. PlayStation was dominating between 70 to 90% of the market in the EU. So those regulators, what it looks like to me using common sense, all right, is that they're saying, how is this move going to hurt our consumers? Because 70 to 90% of them are Sony PlayStation gamers. Okay.
But
Now,
stop there for a moment. This is probably Sony PlayStation gamers, right? But wait, we are all players at the end of the day.
yes,
We're video
yes,
game players. I mean, if it's on Xbox, we're gonna get on Xbox to play the game.
right. But
I mean, that's
let me get
That's
to it.
that's what
okay.
he's getting to, Lou.
Let me get
Okay,
to it.
okay,
Let me get to it because I'm
okay.
gonna get there. I'm gonna get there, and I appreciate the passion, brother. Because I mean, you're right. This is what when I saw the CMA put the things that they put on Twitter with the emojis and all that, I was just scratching my head, and I'm like, dude, you guys are supposed to be looking out for me, the consumer, and for your
Thank you.
people in the EU, not for Sony. But then I'm thinking more about this, and I'm looking more into it. And if 70 to 90% of their player base is the PlayStation brand, then PlayStation, for all accounts, has become kind of a brand for their nation, if you really think about it. So, are they going to scrutinize this a little bit more? I think so, because they're making it very apparent that they are, and it's looking that way, right? Are they
Yeah.
going to buy Sony more time? You damn right they are, because
Mhm.
again, it looks to me like if this is a national brand. Now, again, I'm not saying this is the right answer. I'm just saying this is where my thought process is on this, right? But at the end of the day, to answer your concern, Lou, they don't have, they cannot specifically say to Microsoft, I would think, we are going to deny this deal because it is bad for our consumers, because we are not allowing you guys to compete.
But
They should not, and I believe they will not do that. They should turn around and tell their consumers, we understand that you game on PlayStation, but if you want to play Call of Duty in the future, Microsoft has made it very easy for you to access that title. Okay. They're not making it harder for you like our home brand is. Our home brand is asking $74 from you plus $50 more
but
per console.
but here's a question for you, John Wolf. Aren't they supposed to go down the middle instead of picking sides? Because
Yes,
that's something they gotta do, because that's what they're getting paid for, to be straight down the middle,
you
not
would
picking
think so.
sides.
You would think
Yeah.
so, but then you start looking at things like the Twitter post, you start looking at things like this questionnaire, which may or may be out of character with these things. Now, by all accounts, it's a big deal. Everybody's doing second look throughs, everybody's doing second reviews. They're
Yeah.
scrutinizing the deal just as they should. They're doing their
Mhm.
job. But when I take a look at the landscape here, the reason why we were all celebrating with what Brazil ruled on last week was
Yeah.
because they got it right. And that's the thing. It's not simply coming from a place that, oh, you know what? Yes, finally, Brazil approved it. Come on, everybody, just approve it. No, the reason why we're all celebrating is because they got it right, which is what everybody on every single podcast has been saying. So we have to kind of have the hope that the EU does it right also. And they say, hey, you know what? We've done all our homework. Yes, PlayStation is a dominant brand in our land. However, there is, in our right minds, we cannot block this deal, which would be unfair to Microsoft and consumers in general. Because yes, fine. Hey, if out of 10 people, 9 own a PlayStation, now you're gonna have to figure out. Now you may potentially have to figure out how to play Call of Duty. But in hindsight, it's not like Microsoft is making it hard for you to play Call of Duty. You can play it on your phone, on your computer. You can buy an Xbox. You can lease an Xbox. Or not lease it, but you can finance an Xbox, okay, for as low as $25 a month. I mean, all the options that Microsoft has put into place was to combat this. Was exactly to have an argument in the room and to say, hey, if you think that we're making it harder for consumers, no. Quite the opposite. We're making it easier for consumers to consume our products. And that's been the messaging since day one.
Yep. And that's what I'm saying, though. I mean, these guys are supposed to be down the middle. They're supposed to be down the middle. I mean, Brazil literally took it and went down the middle and said, hey, we got to worry about our consumers, not worried about, your own interest, your own company's interest, which is true. The CMA is there to protect everything. They're there to protect both sides instead of worrying about one side, because basically that's what they're showing. They're saying, hey, we got to see if this is going to affect PlayStation, if this is going to be bad for them, or what's going to happen to them. I mean, look at the excuses.
Yeah, but that was the original statement, Lou. That was in the questionnaire. It doesn't quite reflect all that. So
it's not there.
Like
Okay.
You just have to wait till it's done. And when it's done, we'll get all the answers. But you're right on the original statements that were made as to why they went to the second one. Yes, it was there, but the questionnaire doesn't call for that.
And not only that, they also said that they're going to lower the quality. I was like, why would they want to lower the quality of a game on the console? Because they want it to sell, They want to sell.
You want to know what my prediction for that questionnaire is going to be? The only company that's going to have anything to contest on that is going to be Sony, because every other company is going to document that it's not going to hurt Sony's efforts to compete, because there's so many other franchises that are available in the market. That's what everybody most likely is going to write. So at the end of the day, the CMA is going, in my opinion, have a really, really tough task in justifying any type of block that they're even thinking of doing.
And even then, I don't think it'll be a block. It will probably be less for concessions. But even then, the concessions may be for what's already been offered by Microsoft.
I don't think they're going to block it. It's just going to be hard for them to block, because all the stuff they're looking into is just, I don't see how they can block it. It's just, it makes it hard.
They have to do their due diligence, and
I know.
If you don't like it, it's what they feel like they need to do. And by bringing all these questions up, and for I guess what Sony is thrown out there, they're trying to put that in the mix, because they're like, they want to make sure that everybody sees, okay, look, we're covering this. We're covering what Sony's, worries are. That way we look good when it's all said and done, because they're probably going to pass a deal and they can say, hey, we did our job. And then,
I wouldn't be Lou John Wolf without getting a little messy here. We also know we also know that Jimmy's got a couple of people in that office.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that.
Listen, it is what it is. All right. In the world of business, you have connections. You have, the boys rub with the boys, and it is what it is. Okay. And Jimmy got to somebody's ear and voiced this concern. And they're looking at it.
Probably said, look, I'll give you a PlayStation, and I'll give you a year's worth of PlayStation Plus.
But you still have to buy. But you still got to buy the 24 games. That is
24 games, yes. Yeah. Because I mean, literally.
And if you want customer service, just call me, and I'll make it good for you. Buddy.
No, don't call me. Call Herman Holst.
Like I said, They don't call them out on nothing. I mean, over there in Europe, I think it's in EU, they literally raised the price and nobody said anything. Like, okay, let them raise the console price. Okay, it's good. Let them raise the game price. It's good. Let people spend $1,800 on a freaking to get just one free game. You still don't call them out.
Everything that you're saying, Lou, is exactly what Microsoft will be saying in a court of law. Okay, and the CMA is not dumb. They know that. Okay, so that's why, again, after all this said and done,
that's why the questionnaire came out, because they made a couple boo-boos by saying what will happen on PlayStation. So
oh, there you go. Fuzzy, what do you think, brother?
Fuzzy, what do you got?
Man, oh man, I just hope that when the questionnaire responses come back, I believe, with the exception of maybe Google. I know there were some people who were saying that Google's being a little slick on the back end of things, but
yeah, well, I mean, they listen. I'll say this: they don't have a leg to stand on, because if you look at all of the carnage left when they closed Stadia down, they didn't even tell their players that, your save's going to be able to transfer over. It was the publishers and developers of games like Bethesda that stepped in and said, hey, listen, like IO Interactive is giving you free access to download the game on PC. If you bought it on Stadia, and Stadia was like, yeah, whatever. So I don't think I don't think that Phil, certainly not Phil Spencer, but has anything to say.
I think that Phil Harrison was signing Stadia controllers in New York Comic Con this weekend. So
no, but it's funny though with the whole questionnaire thing. I think once the responses come back, with the exception of like Sony and stuff, I think we'll hear the same results as far as a lot of people in the industry, as far as developers, publishers, and whatnot, aren't really seeing any issues with this whole deal. So I think it will hopefully come to a head where at most it brings Microsoft and Sony to the table to possibly negotiate some concessions, but I don't think it's going to result in a block or anything of that nature. I think it's just going to be basically, all right, well, they offered you 3, you said it's not sufficient or it's not adequate. How's 4 sound? Can we get Microsoft? Are you willing to do that? And Microsoft at this point, I think they're more focused on the King and Blizzard end of things and are willing to work with Sony. I think they would probably, give into that concession, but I don't think there's going to be that much more, anything more that will be put on the table. Like I know some people have talked about, blocking something like Call of Duty and Game Pass. I don't foresee that being an issue. I mean, even with Call of Duty being a much more prominent game in the EU and stuff like that, I still think that this is going to be, I won't say a walk in the park, but it's going to be more of the same as far as what we've seen. It's just that a lot of the posturing or whatever was in the beginning was to kind of, I guess, bring all parties to the table and at least hear, genuine responses and things like that. But I think at the end of the day, this deal goes through without much in the way of either concessions or just Sony having to suck it up and hopefully get back to their being weird times, as Mr. Babbitt would say, when they were a lot more creative as opposed to remastering and stuff like that. They can go back to either bringing back old IP, rebooting those series, or creating from scratch, and that's what they seem to do best at times.
Hey, Boom, I'm particularly interested in you answering this question. Okay,
sure.
Let's think about this. So let's think about the questionnaire. The questionnaire is specifically asking, okay, the EU competition enforcer also asked if Activision's trove of user data will give U.S. giant software competitive advantage in development, publishing, and distribution of computer and console games. So to me, it seems like they are specifically targeting Activision and all of their player base to see if that would give solely Microsoft the competitive edge. And we all know the answer, Boom, but I like to know your thoughts about that, because it looks like the EU's being specific about certain things that they want to know.
Well, I mean, I'll say this to that question. I personally don't think it gives Microsoft a competitive advantage when you consider the playing field. Like, I mean, the last time I checked, free-to-play games ruled the roost. They just released another one, you know, on Overwatch 2. Now, granted, yes, that is a Blizzard title, but you still have Fortnite, you still have Apex Legends, you still have Battlefield, you still have a lot of other free-to-play games or paid-for games that have people coming back to play online. Now, in regards to the moving those players over, well, I mean, look, I'm not trying to be a jerk about it, but Sony did the same exact thing by having Spider-Man, a character that is basically the face of Marvel, be an exclusive character brand to the PlayStation. Now, I get it. I understand that Insomniac Games makes a Spider-Man or has made several Spider-Man games, but you do not find Spider-Man as a sole character on any other platform. And that's because Sony has used its advantage by having Sony Pictures and ownership of Spider-Man, and they have then used that to their advantage. They've also used their advantage to places like Square Enix, where they have games that were promised to Xbox gamers and have not been delivered. So I'm sure that all of those conversations have happened and will continue to happen. Sony is a business and Microsoft is a business. And you know something? I can tell you this, I will say this with full authority. If the shoe was on the other foot, rest assured, Call of Duty would never be on an Xbox ever again.
Oh, yeah.
If the shoe was on the other foot. That is an absolute fact. Now, if Microsoft wants to give a concession where, well, they'll turn around and it was strategic, folks. The fact that they put that 3 additional years, hey, we'll give you 3 years on top of 2024, is probably the concession that they're going to agree with. And I'm going to tell you this, and I don't know how many people from the UK can agree or disagree with me on this. Inflation is on the rise once again, and it could be as high as 20% by the end of the year in that region of the world. I can assure you that the CMA or the EU Commission is going to find it very, very difficult to then go to their consumers, their people that vote these folks in, and say, we're going to spend millions and millions of pounds to fight Microsoft on whether or not they do this merger, because at the end of the day, they would be throwing millions of dollars away for a case that I honestly believe they cannot win. But listen, I'll just say this. This has been one hell of a show. You got 4 more coming up this week. You got Xbox Factor podcast tomorrow. You got Prime Time on Wednesday. You got X Vlog on Thursday, and you got Breakfast with Boom rounding off the week on Friday morning at 10 a.m. Stay tuned, because I'm sure that more information is going to be coming out. Again, tomorrow's lead story, besides Redfall coming out in the first quarter of next year through leaks, we are going to be talking about, again, what's on Phil Spencer's or Phil Spender's shelf. But let me catch up on the super chat that just popped in here. Make sure I'm up to date.
It ain't remasters, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're definitely getting remasters for sure. But Raiden Blade drops a £5 super chat and says, number 1 is buying Sony. Too much to buy. It includes Sony Music, movies, mobile, TV manufacturers, and gaming. Sony is too large. Also, Spider-Man Returns, MU. Yeah, Sony would be a very big buy, but that wouldn't be for Microsoft. That would be like Apple or something. And even then, Apple, I don't know, because of Apple Music. See, Sony Pictures, Apple Music, I don't know if that would work. Same thing for Google. It's weird. Who would be in a position to buy them that does not overlap the industry? That's a great question.
And Apple is probably what, third place in revenue. So now you're looking at maybe monopoly territory.
Yeah.
Tencent is number 1.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Tom from Tanami drops an additional $2 super chat and says, no one tell Wall Street bets how low Sony stock is. Yeah, I think they know, because it's bad. Bunty, who's been a member for 17 months. Thank you so much for that. He says, love the content, Boom. Keep up the good work. Enough respect. Thank you so much for that. And we have Diego FL81 drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "Hi from Brazil. Welcome, brother. That's awesome.
Viva
Remember
Brazil.
Viva Brazil indeed. Remember that according to Cade, Call of Duty wasn't among the 10 best-selling in a period of 5 years on PlayStation. Battlefield and Rainbow Six Siege were." Well, there's that. There's definitely that. We also have Raiden Blade, who drops an additional £5 super chat and says, let's see, don't mention Google. That's Mr. Harrison who spoke. Remember the Google statement in Brazil and later statement makes no sense. So Harrison's words, yeah, he's a liar. Dragon Heart Yobi, what's up, dude? He drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, E3 predictions for next year, Boom. Your prediction this year was entertaining. How are you going to top yourself next year? You know what? I don't know, brother. I usually come up with those like a week before, and then I jump on the ILP, and then we have fun. But let's get everyone out of here. I want to thank everyone. We had almost 500 people here today. Of course, this will be up on your RSS feeds as soon as it uploads, and I enter the show notes. I will add the stories that we talked about and that we added, so you can simply just click and read yourself. Let's start first with our guest, John Wolf. Brother, sell your brand. Talk about your YouTube channel. And where can people reach out to you on social media?
Yeah, thanks, Boom. It was an honor being on your show as always, Boom, and I enjoyed the conversation with everybody else. You guys can hit me up on Twitter if you just want to strike up a conversation. Boom's gonna put it on the show notes and all that good stuff. Man, it's always good talking to you guys about all this stuff. And the next week is when you think it can't get any more crazy, right? Boom. Just the next week keeps on topping itself. So it's been a very entertaining year, especially if you follow the gaming industry. And I appreciate and I admire everyone on this panel for what you bring to the table every single week. And I really do appreciate it, giving me something to listen to while I'm working. And thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for being here, brother. Definitely appreciate that. Crazy Lou Gaming, sell your brand, brother. Talk about the Xbox International podcast, where they can check that out, where they can subscribe, and more importantly, check out your crazy antics on social media.
Oh, man, you can find me every single Wednesday on Xbox International Podcast with my brother Silent Zephyr Sourbloww going on the weekly news at 7 p.m. ET. You can find me on Twitter saying good morning, doing dances and singing along some romantic songs over there at the Crazy Louie Gaming Twitter. And also, last but not least, you can find me here every Monday with Mr. BoomStick Web Dave and Fuzzy Belvedere at the Xbox Lunch Break Special at 12 p.m. ET at the Double Barrel Gaming YouTube channel. Man, it was a fun show today. Jumbo, thank you for joining us. Really, it was awesome, man. Awesome.
Thank you,
well,
brother.
Thank you so much for that. And Web Dave, sell your brand, brother. Talk about your new interview that you dropped today with Miles Dompierre of Windows Central fame and Windows Central Gaming. And more importantly, where can people reach out to you on social media?
Yeah, you can find me at outbreakpodcast.com, it's our website, or just do Outbreak Podcast in the search here on YouTube. You'll find me there. And Boom's got the links down in the description. And yeah, it's a lot of great episodes. Got a couple of more getting ready to record in the next couple of days. Actually, a couple getting ready to line up. So I'm going to be ahead of myself again, which is good. I like being ahead instead of behind. But yeah, Miles is up now. And I tell you, you wouldn't know just by looking at him that he is actually a heavy metal rock god.
Yes, he is.
And he actually has his own album out. So all I got to say is tune in and watch the episode, and you'll find out how you can hear Miles shredding metal.
I'll be listening to that while playing Doom for sure next time.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He's definitely a horror guy for sure.
Oh,
so
hey, one last thing, Boom. In the chat, a lot of people were calling for Fuzzy Belvedere to run for president. So Fuzzy Belvedere.
You know what? That's not my vote.
Let's put that as a hashtag. Yeah.
Hashtag Fuzzy Belvedere for president. I love it.
Argy dropped another super chat, by the way.
Oh, he did. Okay, let's see. Where is that? Let me see. Oh, there it is. It just popped up. Hargi Chani, thank you for the additional $10 super chat and says, just pointing out home brand actually equals monopoly. Anything over 70% market share is considered a de facto monopoly. The regulator's job is to thwart and regulate monopolies, not save them. And that's a great point. And in those regions, it's like 80-20. They have well over 70% of the marketplace in the EU, in the UK.
Yep.
And again, I find it hard to believe that any of these regulators from those regions would find a way to not. I don't think the deal gets blocked. I think Jim Ryan's concern, and I don't want to go on a tangent here, but his concern and what he's not going to get if he's asked, that he's probably has asked for, is day and date and Game Pass. And I say that if Jim Ryan is asking for that, I don't want to be vulgar, so I'll abbreviate it. F you, Jim, because you and your company are not making the $70 billion investment. I don't think you have any right as market leader that has been the market leader for 2 decades plus to tell another corporation that they can't put a game that they're buying or an IP or a franchise that they're paying $70 billion to be a part of into their streaming service to generate more people to come to Xbox. You keep games off of Xbox, and you do it with swagger, and you do it with complete disregard for everyone on Xbox. I don't think he has a right to say that. I don't know he has, but because he's Jim Ryan, it seems like he probably has at some point. But that's his concern.
And Jim is spamming your chat box right now.
Yeah, he is with the sex bots. Which don't click on any of those.
Jimmy, the sex box Ryan. There you go.
I don't know. But listen, Fuzzy, sell your brand, brother. Talk about the best place to get all your racing news, but also big and hot button opinions on your YouTube channel. But more importantly, where can people reach out to you on social media?
Well, just want to thank you guys for letting me join you guys this morning or this afternoon. This was an awesome show to be here with you guys and to interact with the chat and everything. And for those that want to hear my hot takes on things, just follow me on Twitter at Fuzzy_Belvedere. And you can also find me on YouTube, same name, Fuzzy_Belvedere. You can also find me on FSP later tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fun Speculations channel. Back here on Breakfast with Boom on Friday morning at 10 a.m. On Double Barrel Gaming. So definitely tune in as well. So make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. And then later on Friday evening, you can find me on Xbox Ultimate on Fun Speculations channel at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And then Saturday on the Shop Podcast, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on PTK Blam's channel. Man, and then looking forward to being back here first thing on Monday. So enjoy your weekend gaming, guys. It's awesome.
I love Violent Fuzzy.
Violent Fuzzy is what we want more of. I think we're gonna have to like throw vinegar in his eyes before every show so he can get all pissed off and Hulk like. We don't like Professor Hulk. I just want you to know we want more enraged Hulk. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much again for not only supporting Double Barrel Gaming with your clicks, with your views. What I'm about to tell you, folks, is behind the scenes baseball numbers. Now, for bigger channels, this may be a small amount, but remember, we only have 11.3K subscribers, and I'm not being facetious, but we just surpassed, mind you, we don't hit 5 years officially with content until November 3rd, so we're still a couple of weeks away. Double Barrel Gaming has surpassed 3.5 million views. And considering the size of the channel, that is pretty. I know other bigger channels, that's a drop in the bucket. But for this channel, considering as small as we are, we have just crossed 3.5 million views. That is mind exploding. So I want to thank everyone for supporting the channel and specifically supporting the Xbox Lunch Break special. I didn't know how this was going to go. It's a third Xbox show. I never wanted to feel like the content was regurgitated, and because there's been so much news, each show, it's an Xbox show, but we're talking about different things. So a big thank you for making this show the fifth show in Double Barrel Gaming a hit. We had almost 500 people. We're averaging over 5,000 views per show. That is ridiculously good for a new show. So, of course, I want to say thank you. I want to say big also thank you to all of the super chats that continue to come in. We just had another one from Dragonheart Yobi, who drops an additional $5 super chat and says, "Don't be surprised when it's all said and done, Boom. There will be will be in
You will be.
you will be in the Guinness Book of World Record, dude. Thank you. Works his butt off, sir. That's very kind of you to say. I don't want any records. I don't need to be. The fact that people still tune in and listen to my shenanigans, it warms my heart. Trust me when I tell you. But thank you for the super chats that come in. And I want to say real quick, which I do every show, please treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, folks. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. We'll see you next week on the newest episode. And this time, we'll have a new intro and an outro as well. Have a good day, and we'll see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.